Morning, and here we are. It is time for preview. And of course, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Good evening, depending on where you're at. And with a large preview like this, it's going to be brought to you by two people, 2 Cents Rugby and Venom 129 from the Patreon. So thank you guys so much for your support. And as I said, this has got 11 games in it, so we'll go ahead and shout out two people who support this channel on Patreon. Thanks for everything. We'll start things off with Vegas and Toronto. And this feels like a big matchup. You've got a large fan base in Vegas. And I know there are people that argue about whether it's big because they're a good team or big because people are excited about the brand new Vegas Golden Knights. And they're only 3 years old, so they've still got that new car smell. And they're in against Toronto, the largest fan base in Canada, arguably in the NHL. Arguably, because people will argue about it, because it's online, so we argue about everything. Vegas comes in at 9-5-2. Toronto's at 8-5-3. Vegas, I think, has started playing better on the road than they do at home. They're 5-2 away from home. Toronto at home is now 5-2-3. They won that game against LA. This is going to be a much bigger challenge than that. No offense to the Kings. Over their last 10, both teams are 5-3-2, and both fan bases feel like the team could be playing better than what they are. Scoring leaders. On the Vegas side, Stone, 8 goals, 10 assists. Carlson, 4 goals, 12 assists. Smith, 9 goals, 4 assists. Pacioretty, 3 goals and 10 assists. On the Toronto side, Matthews, 12 goals, 6 assists. Marner, 4 goals, 13 assists. Riley, 3 goals, 12 assists. Mikheyev and Nylander both have 4 goals and 7 assists for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Starting goaltenders, apparently it's likely that it's Subban. He's in the starter's crease this morning. Fleury has a .924 save percentage. Subban, .887 overall. On the Toronto side, it will be Freddie Anderson. He has a .908 save percentage. Hutchinson, the backup, with his .885 save percentage. And I expect a game with, if it's going to be Anderson and Subban, probably a score of about 4-3 in overtime. Sounds about right. And whoever loses tonight, their fan base could very well be of the mind of, that's it, we're hosed, what's going on? Although if Vegas loses tonight, a lot of the blame will likely get thrown at Subban, because that's kind of how that works. And I don't 100% agree with it. I think Subban's actually played pretty well so far. I know the numbers don't back it up, but I think he's been playing better. That being said, moving along, Washington. So the Capitals, who very quietly are having an excellent start. Isn't it weird that the Capitals and the Blues are both quietly having very, very good starts to the year? And they're your two most recent Stanley Cup champions. Now the Caps, 11-2-3. And right now, if they want to go for that President's Trophy again, they're in good position to go for it. Whereas Florida is 7-3-4. Away from home, Washington 7-1-1. At home, Florida's 3-1-1. Now over their last 10, Washington 8-1-1, Florida 6-1-3. So this is where Florida losing in extra time, whether it's overtime or a shootout, works to their benefit. They have 3 points from that over their last 10 games. That definitely makes their record look pretty good. Scoring leaders, Carlson, 7 goals, 16 assists for the Caps there. Ovechkin, 11 goals, 8 assists. Vrana, 9 goals, 5 assists. Oshie, 8 goals, 4 assists. Wilson, 5 goals, 7 assists. So 12 points for Wilson, 16 games. It's not bad. It's pretty good for Wilson. Backstrom, 2 goals and 10 assists as well. On the Florida side, Huberdeau, 9 goals, 9 assists. Barkov, 2 goals, 15 assists. Dadonov, 6 goals, 5 assists. Hoffman, 6 goals, 4 assists. And Connolly, 5 goals and 5 assists for the Florida Panthers thus far. Goaltenders, Holtby's been confirmed. His save percentage now is up to .895. He's trying to hit .900. Samsonov, .915. On the Florida side, no confirmation yet, but it'll be Bobrovsky. He has an .882 save percentage. Montembeau, a .905 in limited appearances. So, tonight's game, this is a really good test for both. Florida trying to prove, all right, we've gone through our rough patch. Now we're going to prove we're a playoff team. And Washington going, yeah, no, we're going to stay number one for a while. So, that's where we're at, and we'll see how things turn out. Pittsburgh. These guys, and for people wondering, this is just a fashion jersey that came out years ago from Reebok. And this is why when some of the jerseys that have come out lately, like the Oilers one, the blue with the orange, The Tampa Bay jersey, which is black with some gray. This is what it kind of reminds me of, is the fashion jerseys Reebok was putting out. And I guess they sold well enough that they said, we could probably do this with a regular jersey at some point. Pittsburgh's 8-6-1. Of course, the Islanders 11-3. They've won 10 in a row after losing 3 of their first 4. Away from home, Pittsburgh is 3-3. Over their last 10, they are 5-4-1. So Pittsburgh, they've had some good patches here and there. I will say this: they did have Boston down 4-3. They did lose that game 6-4. Whereas the Islanders, they're 7-2 at home, and they've won all 10 of their last 10 games. So Pittsburgh, this is a really good opportunity for them. And for the Islanders, eventually the winning streak comes to an end. Doesn't mean that the winning streak doesn't mean anything. It's just eventually they all come to an end. On the scoring leaders side of things, Crosby, 5 goals, 12 assists. Gensel, 7 goals, 6 assists. Letang, 4 goals, 8 assists. And Hornquist, 5 goals and 5 assists, who of course won't be in the lineup tonight. On the Islanders side, Bailey, 6 goals, 6 assists. Barzal, 6 goals, 5 assists. Nelson, 4 goals and 6 assists. Lee has 5 goals, 4 assists. Devon Taves, 2 goals and 7 assists. So they're tied with 9 points for 4th in the scoring list. And it is scoring by committee for the Islanders. In the goaltending department, Murray will start tonight. He's got a .917 save percentage. Jari, .929 is the backup. On the Islander side, it doesn't matter who starts. Grace has a .937 save percentage. Varlamov has a .929. It really doesn't matter who's in net at all. Doesn't matter. I swear they could put Billy Smith in there right now, and it'd still end up at the end of the night with a save percentage of around .920. It's magic what's going on with the goaltenders in New York. Moving along. Montreal in against Philly. And all these games start at the same time, so I will be busy as of 4 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Eastern. 8-5-2 is the record for Montreal. 7-5-2 is the record for Philadelphia. Away from home, Montreal's 4-2-2. At home, Philadelphia's 5-1-1. Over their last 10, Montreal's 6-4. Philadelphia's 5-4-1. So Montreal, I think the win over Boston can be a huge jump-off point for them. Should give them some confidence. We'll see how things work out for them tonight in Philly. And every time I see Montreal and Philly, of course, I think back to the 80s, because I'm that old. And I remember those fights and brawls that took place in the 80s and just how ugly things would get between Philadelphia and Montreal. On the scoring leaders front, Gallagher, 7 goals and 6 assists for the Montreal Canadiens. Tatar, 5 goals, 8 assists. Drouin, 7 goals, 5 assists. And Domi, with 4 goals and 7 assists, is 4th on the scoring list. On the Philadelphia side, Konechny, 7 goals, 8 assists. Fantastic start for Konechny. Lindblom, 7 goals, 5 assists. Voracek and Giroux both have 4 goals and 7 assists. They've both picked it up after slow starts. Goaltending, no confirmation with Montreal, which means probably Carey Price. He has a .910 save percentage. Kincaid has an .879. On the Philadelphia side, they've confirmed Carter Hart, .885 save percentage. It's come up from where it was. And Elliott will be the backup with a .901 save percentage. So things in Philadelphia look like they're evening out. If Hart has a good night tonight, then yeah, Hart likely gets a lot more turns in the net than does Elliott. I think that's the plan. I think the plan is to give it to Carter Hart, and so they're going to lean towards him and into him being the starter as quickly as possible. That being said, I now need to change boards. Rangers and Carolina. This also starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Yep. The Rangers 6-6-1. Carolina 9-5-1. And away from home, the Rangers are 2-2. At home, Carolina's 6-2. But over their last 10, both teams 4-5-1. So Carolina has really slowed down from that start they had. And has definitely affected them on the power rankings board as well. And they need to stem the tide of this quickly. On the Rangers side of things, Panarin's their leading scorer with 7 goals and 7 assists. Strome, 5 goals and 8 assists. DeAngelo, 5 goals, 6 assists. Best bang for your buck is Anthony DeAngelo. And Zibanejad, 4 goals and 7 assists. On the Carolina side, Dougie Hamilton's off to an amazing start to the season. We talk a lot about John Carlson, rightfully so, and his cruising to a Norris. Hamilton's having the best season of his career, and I don't know that it's close. Svechnikov, 6 goals, 9 assists. Teravainen, 4 goals, 8 assists. And Haula, 8 goals and 3 assists so far for Erik Haula. Goaltending, no confirmation yet. I would think Georgiev, because Lundqvist played last night. Georgiev has a .913 save percentage. Lundqvist has a .916. So goaltending for the New York Rangers has been excellent thus far. On the Carolina side, I expect Mrazek. He has a .909 save percentage. Reimer has a .907 save percentage. Those save percentages are a little bit lower than you might want them. But overall, if Reimer's over a 900, you're doing something right. So Carolina, it's a decent test at home. And for the Rangers, if they can win back-to-back games, go above 500, we can start talking about that congested Metro division and whether we know anything yet. We really don't in terms of who may or may not make the playoffs in that division. Other than Washington looking like they're solid and the Islanders looking like, yep, we're top guys too. Anybody outside of that, I don't know. Like I said, Carolina over their last 10, they've been 4-5-1. All right, moving along. LA's in Ottawa. This one starts at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. The LA Kings are 5-10 and Ottawa's 4-9-1. So I know you guys are all set in your VCRs to record this, right? VCRs. They're these things that had tapes that wheels went, and there were Betamax way back in. All right. Beta was better than the VHS that won the war. The problem was Beta was too expensive. All right. Away from home, the LA Kings were 2-6 over their last 10. They're 3-7. We'll see what happens to that record tonight. At home, the Ottawa Senators 3-4 over their last 10, 3-6-1. I actually had a friend that had a Betamax, and it was really cool. And then they all just died off. He also ended up with laser discs too. I don't know that he always picked the losing side of a tech argument. I should track him down and see which tech toys he has now, and then I'll know which ones not to get. All right. Anyways, leading scorers for LA. Kopitar, 4 goals, 10 assists. Doughty, 4 goals, 6 assists. Brown, 3 goals, 6 assists. And Kovalchuk, 3 goals and 5 assists for the LA Kings. And Kovalchuk really stands out for the fact that he has 8 points in 15 games. 3 goals in 15 games. He's really got to get started. On the Ottawa side of things, Brown, 2 goals, 10 assists. Pajot, 6 goals, 4 assists. Nemesnikov, 5 goals and 5 assists. And Shabbat, 1 goal, 8 assists on the blue line for the Ottawa Senators. I like the Ottawa Senators' chances tonight. I do. Anyways, goaltenders, we do have confirmation. It will be Campbell with his .881 save percentage. Quick has the night off with his .859 save percentage. Man. On the Ottawa side, it will be Nilsson with his .922 save percentage. Anderson gets the night off. He has an .897 save percentage. Nilsson gets a chance tonight against a team that has trouble scoring goals to pad his stats just a little bit. Again, I understand people may not be attracted to this game. They might go, we'll just go ahead and skip that. Heck, even Shannon talked about VCRs during the bit about this. But anyways, it could be a fun game. Because Ottawa games are pretty fun to watch. I will say that. I know their record isn't any good, but they are fun games to watch. All right, next up, Vancouver. So the Canucks, this is a really good test for them. Coming off of an overtime loss against St. Louis. Now on a kind of a quick turnaround. A one-day travel, and now today they're in Chicago, and they play the Blackhawks. Now, I understand Vancouver's 9-3-3. Chicago's 4-7-3. You look at the records, you go, Vancouver will win this. Chicago, Kane, Taves, and especially Keith, not entirely popular guys with Vancouver fans based on stuff that happened about a decade ago. And I always look at these games and say, you know what? The Hawks could beat us. The Canucks are 5-3-1 away from home. They're 6-1-3 in their last 10. So much like I said about Florida. Sometimes it's when you lose the game that's important too. So if you lose it during extra time, not during regulation, I spit it out. I got there. You're getting those extra points, and it makes your record look better. On the Chicago side, they're 3-3-2 at home, and in their last 10, they're 3-5-2. They're not going to be happy with that California trip. That was not a trip that inspires confidence this team can turn it around. On the scoring side, Pettersson's the leading scorer for Vancouver, 6 goals, 14 assists. JT Miller, 6 goals and 10 assists. He's been fantastic. Besser, 7 goals, 9 assists, and Horvat, 6 goals and 7 assists. So pretty good scoring all around from Vancouver. On the Chicago side, Patrick Kane, 4 goals, 9 assists. DeBrincat, 4 goals and 5 assists. Strome, 3 goals, 4 assists. And Nylander, 2 goals and 5 assists. On the goaltending front, I would imagine Markstrom plays tonight. They could go with Demko. Markstrom, 918 save percentage. Demko, 938. So with a 938 save percentage, you can go ahead and throw Demko in net. That's fine. Leonard will be the backup tonight. He has a 935 save percentage for Chicago. My God. Crawford is supposed to be the starter. It's likely he's in the starter's crease this morning. Crawford, 892 save percentage. So, Crawford's number's a little bit down, but honestly, he's been playing well. I wouldn't put a lot of that on him. That being said, we'll go ahead and move along to the next game. This could be the game of the night. Colorado at 8-5-2. Nashville 9-4-2. Nashville's not going to have any sympathy, pity for Colorado for the situation they're in. And for Colorado, they have to show they can win without Rantanen and Landeskog. And it's not an easy task. Really, really isn't. But they need to show they can. Away from home, Nashville 3-2. So they're not as good away from home as they are at home. Last 10, they're 6-2-2. So pretty good record. Colorado 4-2-1 at home. They have a record of 3-5-2 in their last 10. Losing 4 in a row will do that to you. They've been 0-3-1 in their last 4. So overall for Colorado, the numbers not great recently, and they're going to try to turn that around against a Nashville team that doesn't give up a ton of goals and scores a ton of goals. So we'll see where things end up. Yossi's the leading scorer for Nashville, 5 goals, 11 assists. Ellis, 3 goals, 12 assists. Duchesne, 4 goals, 9 assists. Bonino, 8 goals and 4 assists. On the Colorado side, McKinnon, 8 goals, 10 assists. Rantanen, 5 goals, 7 assists. He's still number 2 even though he hasn't played in a bit. Makar, 1 goal, 11 assists. Nazem Kadri, 5 goals, 4 assists. And Burakovsky, 4 goals and 5 assists for the Colorado Avalanche. Goaltenders, no confirmation yet, so I'll say Rinne at 923 for his save percentage. Saros has an 884. On the Colorado side, Grubauer is highly likely here, 915 save percentage. Francouz has a 919 save percentage for the Colorado Avalanche. So, this could be the game of the night. I have a funny feeling it will be. Where my attention ends up when it comes to there being this many games on, like which game I end up watching the most, I'm surprised by how much I end up watching Ottawa games. But I will do my best to track as much of this as possible. Keeping in mind I got one set of eyeballs for now. I'll talk to some doctors. I'll see about getting extra sets of eyeballs. I'm not sure how that works because they all go back to the same brain. So, again, trying to process all that information is kind of tricky. So, anyways, that being said, I now need to change boards for the last time. And by last time, I don't mean ever. Just for this video. So, New Jersey in against Calgary. The Devils, it looks like, are doing their best to dig their way out of this mess they've been in. Now, they haven't been able to do it in regulation. But they're 4-5-4. So, they've won 4 out of 13, or they've only lost 5 in regulation out of 13. Either way, again, those single-point games, they're handy. On the Calgary side at 9-7-2, I do think Calgary's a bit vulnerable. Away from home, New Jersey's now 2-3. Over their last 10, they're 4-3-3. At home, Calgary's 5-1-1. Over their last 10, they're 5-4-1. So with Calgary, it feels like Gaudreau kind of got a weight off his back with a goal in the last game. We'll see if he can get a streak going. Leading scorers for New Jersey, Taylor Hall, 2 goals and 11 assists. Paul Mary, 6 goals, 4 assists. Vatanen, 4 goals, 4 assists. Jack Hughes is on the board at 3 goals and 4 assists. And Nico Hischier, 2 goals and 5 assists for him. On the Calgary side, Tkachuk, 9 goals, 9 assists. Lindholm, 10 goals, 6 assists. Johnny Gaudreau, 4 goals, 11 assists. And Monahan with 3 goals and 11 assists. No confirmation with goaltenders. I would think Blackwood. 891 save percentage for him. It has definitely come up. Schneider, 847. On the Calgary side, Riddick, 915 save percentage. And Talbot, 899. And coming back to the Blackwood thing, I've started seeing articles on how New Jersey's goaltending is costing them games. This is part of where me covering hockey the way I do and all 31 teams makes a difference. Because yes, the goaltending was costing them, but Blackwood's been better over the last few games. So a narrative that yes, I agreed with, it was recently 7 days ago, I would look at right now and I'd say, well, wait a minute. Let's see if Blackwood can grow into the role and get his save percentage up over 900, and if New Jersey can get their record into the positive, because if they can, there may not be any reason to panic with goaltending. Corey Schneider, they're going to have to figure out what to do there, because if you're riding Blackwood and Schneider's not going to play, and when he does, his save percentage is 847. Something has to give somewhere, but maybe Ray Shero waits till after the season's done and tries to figure something out. It gets tricky. And on the Calgary side, I do expect Riddick. I would be surprised if it was Talbot. That being said, it is New Jersey, so you might throw Talbot in there because you're perceiving you're against a weaker opponent. Next up, Columbus. This game and the Calgary game both start at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Columbus in against Arizona. So you've got Columbus off to a 5-7-3 start, and they've started to look kind of like was expected. The record is starting to fall a bit. And Arizona at 9-4-2, they're pretty good. Arizona's pretty good. They're boring to watch, unless you're a Coyotes fan, in which case they're very exciting to watch. Away from home, Columbus is 2-2-2, and over their last 10, they're 3-4-3. So either they've only won 3 out of 10, or they've only lost 4 out of 10 in regulation. On the Arizona side, they're 4-2 at home. They're 7-2-1 over their last 10. So, pretty solid record for Arizona overall. Scoring leaders: Pierre-Luc Dubois, 6 goals, 4 assists for Columbus. Their scoring is a problem. Atkinson, 3 goals, 4 assists. They could use some more goals from him. Nyquist, 2 goals, 5 assists. They could use probably a bit more from him as well. And Jones, a goal and 6 assists from the blue line. On the Arizona side, Schmaltz, 4 goals and 10 assists. Garland, 7 goals, 3 assists. Kessel, 3 goals and 7 assists for him. Keller, 2 goals, 8 assists. And Goligoski with a goal and 9 assists. He's off to an excellent start. Korpisalo's been confirmed as the starter, 892 save percentage for him. Merzlikins has actually been sent down to the AHL for a conditioning stint. He'll be back up. He has an 882 save percentage. I don't think he's been bad over the last couple of games either. On the Arizona side, Kemper, 940 save percentage. Ronta, 912 save percentage. It doesn't matter who Arizona goes with. Both goaltenders are playing well. I know there's a difference in save percentage that's pretty dramatic, but overall, I would say they're both pretty good goaltenders. It doesn't really matter who they go with tonight. That being said, they go with Kemper. He may pad his stats because Columbus is really having trouble scoring. I mentioned in the stats video yesterday that their shooting percentage is really low, and now you look at their scoring leaders, and it's not a fantastic list. So as long as you've got, 2 or 3 guys that look like they're on pace for 20 goals, that's not going to get it done. Moving along. Last game of the night is Minnesota in against the San Jose Sharks. And this one starts at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. 5-9-1 is the record for the Minnesota Wild. 5-10-1 is the record for San Jose. So if you want a reason to stay up late tonight on the East Coast or in Europe, I can't give it to you. This game doesn't give me a reason to tell you to stay up late and not just get up next morning and watch the highlights. Away from home, Minnesota's 2-8. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1. At home, San Jose's 3-4, and over their last 10, they're 3-6-1. So, it's not great for either team. Although, I guess you could say over their last 10, Minnesota's been better than how they started the season, but that's faint praise. On the scoring leaders front, Stahl is now the leading scorer for Minnesota with 5 goals, 6 assists. Zucker, 4 goals, 5 assists. Hunt, 4 goals, 4 assists. And Spurgeon with 2 goals and 6 assists. Not on the board is Zuccarello, who has picked up his scoring over the last few games, and he'll be on the board soon. San Jose, Hertl, 5 goals, 9 assists. Burns, 3 goals, 11 assists. Evander Kane, 9 goals, 4 assists. I'll bet on that. Carlson, a goal and 9 assists. Couture, a goal and 9 assists. I don't have $500,000. Goaltenders, no confirmation. I would think Stalock. Why not? He's got a 917 save percentage. Dubnyk has an 883. Now you could counter and say, well, yeah, but Dubnyk's 883. You might be able to bring that up against the Sharks, to which I say, fair. On the San Jose side, Jones, 889 save percentage. Please get to 900, Martin Jones, please. And Dell, 878 save percentage. So the poor save percentages in San Jose continue for a second straight season. Now, if we look at the standings, and I've got the standings updated for this morning, if the playoffs started today, your number 1 seed in the West would be St. Louis. They would play Calgary. That would be fantastic. The Oilers would be your number 1 seed in their division, and they would play Vegas. So you'd have Edmonton and Vegas. You would also have Nashville against Colorado. So tonight's game could be a playoff preview, I guess. And Vancouver against Arizona. That would be a fantastic series. And honestly, while I would be cheering for Vancouver, I would be pretty stoked to see Arizona go on a run too. I would just be happy to see Vancouver in the playoffs right now. I don't care. I don't care if they get swept in the first round. Just playoff experience would be nice. Just seeing upward movement after 5 years of stagnant, it would be nice. Boston and Washington would be the division leaders and winners in their conference. Washington would actually end up playing Montreal. And Boston would play Florida. However, that being said, I have no faith that it wouldn't be Boston and Montreal and Washington and Florida. And if Boston plays Montreal, Toronto fans, I think you'd be very happy with the result there, because Toronto would play Buffalo, and right away you'd have to think people at Rogers would be salivating over the idea of a Toronto-Montreal meeting in the second round. And honestly, it would be Buffalo's first time in the playoffs in almost a decade, and Boston against Montreal traditionally is a bad matchup for Boston. It could happen. So even though it's very, very, very early in the season, here's a matchup for you. And of course, the Islanders would play Carolina again. So they played last year in the second round, and we'll see whether or not they end up meeting in the first round. Surprisingly absent from the playoffs. In the West, you've got Anaheim at 9-7-1 right now. The Stars at 8-8-1, although they're pushing their way up. And here's where it gets tricky. So let's just say that Dallas does end up pushing their way in. Well, who do they push out? Calgary? What if they push their way into the top three? And then from there you get into teams Chicago, Minnesota, San Jose, and LA. Probably not going to be in there. The wild card for me is the Jets. 8-7-1 and still, I think, finding their identity. On the Eastern side, you've got Pittsburgh sitting outside at 8-6-1. Philadelphia 7-5-2. Tampa at 6-5-2. Rangers 6-6-1. Columbus 5-7-3. New Jersey 4-5-4. Ottawa 4-9-1. And Detroit 4-12-1. Ottawa and Detroit, they're better luck next year. New Jersey, this is where it gets interesting. New Jersey right now is 6 points out of the playoffs. They have to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams to get in. So the tricky part is not just looking at the points and going, well, we're only X amount of points out. It's how many teams you have to jump past to get in. And if you get too far back too early and behind too many teams too early, that can be the end of it. So I'm not saying it is, because they're only one game below 500. But it is interesting to look at, especially because we're into November. We can start looking at these things. We're almost up to American Thanksgiving. And then at that point, we can take a look and see whether or not the American Thanksgiving rule works, where teams that are in the playoffs very often are in the playoffs at the end of the season if they're there during American Thanksgiving. And then everybody else jumps out and goes, this doesn't matter, it doesn't mean anything. Ninja dust, and then they take off. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.